Shalom, family. Welcome to Hebrew War Machine Radio. I'm your host, Brother Demo, bringing it to you early in the day. But, we try to get it all while we can. Again, want to welcome everybody to the show. We have a special guest on. We're going to have our brother, Nasi Yashuv, on. We have a special guest coming on to speak with us today. We'll break down. Going to open up Brother Nasi mic. Let the brother show. Kick back and hear my mic. Well, King, I'm going to mute the mic, let you host the show, and let you and the brother we call him come open up his mic so y'all can break down this information for the people.
Definitely. All right, peace and blessings, fam. All right, cool. Peace, family. Shalom alaikum. Shalom to all my family out there. May the Most High be with all of us in our trials and tribulations through life. And may the Almighty King guide his warriors into battle for his name's sake. We ask that all our brothers and sisters just listen to this with an open heart and an open mind, because what we're up against is something that is completely against morals, against our community, against all the things that we speak of. The righteous side has one side, and it's all for one purpose, a greater cause. And we ask the Almighty to show light in the darkest situations. Today we're going to have a special brother of mine, and I'll say his name when he's cued in. But it's good because sometimes we don't understand the deeper meanings of scriptures. And when we understand the deeper esoteric meanings of scriptures, then we will not fight something that is definitely a paragon above all writings. Something that will bring light into the darkest realms. Even most of modern scientists have based their scientific evaluations, theories, hypotheses come from the book that's being slandered by brothers who call themselves educated. But every time you go and ask them where did they get that information from, you best believe it's either a Christian or some Jewish guy with a PhD or someone who was advanced and went through the schools of the Europeans, and they kind of disregard these things. So what we bring to you today is definitely a powerful brother, and the brother has so much wisdom. I think that the platform that he stands on suffocates his intellect. But the brother is very powerful. I learned a lot from this brother. In truth, he's really a close brother to me. He believed in me when a lot of other brothers didn't believe in me. And this is truth. This is nothing to hype up, nothing. He knew he believed in me in the first debate. He knows that there are people out there that manipulate the masses with false information. So today we're going to have our brother, when he get on the show, drop some information on us for the Hebrew Israelite community that we probably haven't even heard before. And that's why today is a very important show. This is probably one of the greatest shows we will have at the Hebrew War Machine. And even though we had a lot of good, awesome, and spectacular shows before, this one will go down in the history books as one of the best, because we're not dealing with some person who just initiated itself into the science or initiated itself into our belief system. He actually went from different avenues and built himself up and fortified his scientific understanding with the ancients. Not everybody does that. Most people base their theories based off of complete science and don't lace it up with ancient cosmological origins and do not connect the myths and the symbols. These are the things that we have to do as we study. So we're going to wait for our beautiful brother to get on the board, and we're going to ask him a few questions when we get started, and then we're going to let him go into his interpretation and go into his dissertation, and just relax and let the Sabbath come in. I know everybody's probably ripping and running, trying to get ready before sundown, saying their prayers, getting the house clean, if you're doing this, I would like you to just put your phone on speaker or put your earphones in and listen to some beautiful words of wisdom from our brother, our special guest speaker. So this show is definitely going to shoot up there in ratings. It's going to shoot up there in the numbers. And we all know all the stuff that we've been going through recently. I know we see that Jonathan video he posted, very hilarious video. And in it, the brother shows that I used a homosexual reference. A guy that was a homosexual and drag queen, which is just smokescreen. Because initially they were calling the man Paul Robertson. Then it became Paul Roberts, which I quoted, and this is a year ago, so I don't know every reference I used. So he showed that I did use somebody that cross-dressed. Well, the funny thing about it, when it comes to Egyptology, most people you're going to reference or use is going to be into some form of homosexuality, because most homosexuals are drawn to finding themselves in history. And what they do is they go back into time and they look for many contributions given by what they call the LGBT or lesbian and gays throughout history. So if that attack works, then we really have to forget the debate, because their Coptic understanding of Meta comes from a man, Champollion, and Champollion was basically taught, even though he denies it, by a man called William Banks, which was arrested for sodomy twice in France, and was a person who was sent to study Egyptology by Napoleon, which was a racist. So if we look at this humorous video and take it serious, then we have to say that there's no understanding of the Meta and the science, because that in itself is gay interpretations or homosexual interpreters. Demo, do we have our brother on?
Not yet. I'm going to try to text him and see where he at.
All right, definitely. So don't let all the hype catch you. Don't let people, and then the funny thing about it was we put up hundreds, 20, we put 20 references one time, 40 references, and only thing they can do is stand on their ground, is to dig in the backgrounds of other people's history and say, look, this person had an illicit life, this person had a sinful life, we can't use them. And if that's the case, if we're dealing with sexual preference of an individual and negate him as a scholar, then there's some of our scholars that we can't use today. Just think about that. Breathe that in. Consider it. So, yes, definitely. The world is built off the truth of our people and the backbones of our people in our community. And we're going to bring forth on February 8th, we're going to bring that light. We're going to shine. So all y'all that have doubts or fears, believe you me, truth can never fall flat. And it never will.
Hey, Brother Nasi, let me ask you something real quick. Try to get a few questions in.
Yes,
has the debate format been laid out yet?
Oh no, brother. Let me tell you, this is the funny thing about the whole debate. People pay for their tickets and all of this stuff, and the brothers on the Kemetic side got paid. We haven't even been into financial negotiation. We don't even know, so our thing is coming on trial. But what they're trying to do is not answer to the claims that we're doing, and they want to do a free-for-all type of debate where they just throw out any kind of information. This is what they're trying to do. And so, they control the media. They control their own media. So they're putting out a lot of information that's false and bogus. But we don't need anything, any kind of trick tactics or diversion tactics to make people believe our truth. So there is nothing. There is no format. The format we put out is on Facebook. We read it out there to the people. We just now put another video out on it, showing the people what we asked. We didn't ask for nothing extreme. We just wanted to test the literacy of our brothers inside of the Metal Netta. Not meaning that they have to read a whole 100 lines or nothing like that, but just some simple stuff we wanted to ask them. They declined that. they don't want to be tested in their Medu Neter, but what they're also going to do is they're going to interpret Medu Neter. So they don't want to be tested in their Medu Neter at this debate, but they're going to use themselves as the interpreters of some of these stellars and paprises. I got to see the smoke screen. I got to see this. This is real simple to watch. So what's the buzz you getting around the demo? The buzz you're hearing, what you getting?
I talked to Divine. He said pretty much the same thing. Only thing I heard is that Shaka Ummo's supposed to be defending his book against GOCC as the undercard, and everything else is like not been finalized.
Yeah, and that's so true, you know. And hopefully we can get some clarity in the next couple of days. And if not, we just come in with our what we set out to do. We only signed up to do one kind of debate, and that's Kemet on trial. If they decide to make it the Bible on trial again, then that's on them. Yep.
So I got to ask this question also. If they don't have a format, let's say by February 1st, so it's pretty much might be just a free-for-all debate?
Well, no, we're never going into a free-for-all. No, we're not going into no free-for-all debate. And they clearly made it known. They wanted it to be collegiate, and they don't want no free-for-all. But this is what they're creating because they don't want to be tested. It's just certain things. And think about it. They want to tell us what to ask them. They want to monopolize it. They want to control it. They want to be the prime authority in charge and say, oh, no, you're going to ask us these questions. Now, what kind of debate is that? So now you don't want to be tested on Medu Neter, and you only want us to ask the questions you want us to ask you.
Right.
Yeah, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying?
That's like when the court tell a prosecutor what you can only charge me with.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't make sense.
Wow. And so if they didn't want you to sell any tickets or fund the event or anything at all?
Well, yeah, one of the things was as control of our own, to control our own market and our own revenue and to have a balanced playing field because we knew the integrity of the individuals were not intact, we we'll pay half of whatever it costs and we receive 50% of the proceeds. This was completely shot off the table. The brothers said, no way, they're not doing nothing like that. And the reason why we tried to do that because we've seen that everything was biased. The person that you're debating is not supposed to be an investor. That's a conflict of interest. It's a conflict of interest. So, you know, then so we said, okay, well, just give us, since it's six of us debating, and, you know, a lot of us have draw. A lot of us have a power, you know. He said six of us debating. Give us $4,000. Oh, no way. We're going to get somebody else. Okay. Give us $2,500 and let us sell 80 tickets and keep the 80 tickets out of 600 tickets you're selling there. No, we ain't doing that. All right, give us $2,000 and this is polite. I'm not talking about son of the elder. So I say, well, give us $2,000 and 80 tickets. No. So now we don't have no money on the table. We're not even asking for money no more. I mean, we're not begging, so we get whatever, we'll get what they give us, huh? But we want this debate to happen. And we want the debate to happen so bad, we're trying to avoid the avenues of conflict that will postpone or delay the debate or cause it not to happen. So we left that apart. We left that alone because it seemed that they didn't want to give us really any money, so we left that alone. So now where we at now, so only thing holding us up now is seeing what we're going to discuss. Polite says we have to talk about the 400 years, or they don't want no debate. You know, and they have to reopen my debate and go over certain things that they want to go over because now they have an answer for it. But it's been a year and change. The brothers are reaching, but that's what happens when you're in fear. There is no way, no possible way that we are not going to prevail in this debate. And we're going to have the Moors, we're going to have the Hebrews, we're going to have all of these brothers, all of the brothers out there. We're going to have Kemetic communities, all the brothers out there against this new covenant, and the people they hired, the Amiram Squad. And I'm not going to say the Amiram Squad. I'm not going to put all the brothers in there. I'm talking about Ark and Jonathan.
Okay. Hey, I see the brothers just called in. I'm about to open his mic, and I'm about to mute my mic, and I'm going to be off the line for a while, but I'm about to open up the brother mic. Shalom, King.
Shalom, shalom.
Peace,
shalom,
peace,
brother
peace.
Ngozi.
Peace. Did y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, peace and love, man. What's going on with you, brother?
All is well, King. I was digging you up, man. I was talking about the debate. Do you have your phone on speaker?
Yeah. I'm driving. I can hear you clearly though. You're good.
All right, because it's kind of chopping up in my phone. All right. All right. How far are you from?
I'm almost close to my safe zone where I can just sit down and turn this call off and just and talk. But I'm listening to you as you go. I can hear you.
All right, cool.
I want the pig to pull me over with the cell phone up against my ear.
I got you. But definitely, people out there, if y'all don't know, our special guest tonight is Brother Ngozi.
Yes.
From the Amiram Squad.
Amiram Squad up, Team Osiris. Yes, sir. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. And I was just telling them how, you was always a close brother where, when I first met you and I listened to you, you was a brother about truth, man, and about facts. And if you seen something that was wrong on either side, you talked about it. You spoke against it. Like it didn't matter whose side it was.
Yes. Correct.
Definitely. All right. Yeah.
I really want to. Yeah. Could you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I really want to get into this. Yeah. The way I function is this. I'm a scientist. I measure everything. If it's something that doesn't make sense, or if something that's disagreeable, and it's presented that way, I'm going to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? My name is Jassy Ngozi. Outside of Jassy Ngozi, or Jassy Ngozi, my name is Amir Keta Kamara. You know what I'm saying? That's my name. People know me as Amir biologically. I mean, this is just my name. Ngozi, I chose that name because it represents my ancestors, where I come from directly. Ngozi being Ibu, which means blessings in Ibu, and Jassy in Akana means wonderful. So the term itself means wonderful blessings. Amir meaning prince or high ruler. In Hebrew they call it high ruler. In Arabic it means prince. Kiata means ruler of the land, or one, and Kiata or one who comes to the throne. And Kamara, which means ruler of the land, or teacher. So all I'm really here to do is really teach. You know what I'm saying? Teach the truth and the facts. I'm not really I am an Egyptologist because I study ancient Egypt, but I don't agree with everything with Egypt. I accept the good and the bad with Egypt. I love Egypt for its architecture. I love Egypt for its power that they had, the military might. But I'm not an Egyptian bandwagoner that agrees with everything Kemet did. I don't sideshow it. A lot of our old scholars that we had deny things and they pick and choose what they want to deal with. I don't do that. I tell the truth.
Well, what are some of the things that you've seen that I guess that the elders didn't point out?
Well, some teachers believe that other civilizations wasn't as advanced as Kemet, or other people were stupid, and Kemet was just, the people now were just intelligent. Human beings migrated out of Africa more than one time, and I am a strong advocate of evolution. And I'm a strong knower in what we refer to as the Most High, or I call it consciousness. I'm not an atheist. I'm a pantheist. So, and I deal with the esoteric side of certain things, but I know that there is a super intelligence that imposes matter, or a super intelligence that animates matter, the divine spark that animates matter, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, some elders believe that when Africans left out of Africa for some particular, the human species is an African species. That's the first thing I want to put out there. Homo sapiens sapien is a species that developed on a continent that we know is Africa today. That we know is Africa today. I mean, we can get to the history of where Africa come from, and it has a lot of influence from people in Carthage only, because the people of Carthage was classified as Africa first, the Beni Ifer, which meant people of the cave, or the Afar term that you find and you can find the term afar with the Phoenicians. If you study Hannibal, his ancestors was Phoenicians who came into Carthage in 800 BC, and they came across certain tribes like the Beni Afar, people of the cave or people of yellow. So the whole continent wasn't labeled that at first. To the Greeks, anybody below that Sahara that was super dark-skinned, they were Ethiops, people of cosmic fire, or people with blacker skin, or blackened. You know the term, but they say about Ethiopian, burnt-skinned people. You had two Ethiopians, the Dravidians in India, as Herodotus said, and the ones that we know in Africa, predominantly sub-Saharan Africa. They were referring to a certain skin type. So we really didn't have one name for that continent. The tribes had different. They labeled it different things. There was no ancient Nigeria. You know, you had Oyo at that time. You had Nok. You had different civilizations in one region. I mean, in Nigeria they speak 529 languages. In Ghana they speak 79 languages. The whole attack on Kemet is kind of like crazy because Kemet is a country. What area of Kemet are we attacking? You get what I'm saying? Because everybody in Kemet didn't live by the same customs. They had different norms. They worship in different ways. They did different things. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, what area are we talking about when we attack certain geographical locations? That's my argument. You know what I'm saying? So things that I don't agree with is certain things that our historians said, you know, other people are not as intelligent or people were just stupid. I do know for a fact that Proto-Israelites or Proto-Jerusalem, whatever you want to call them, do come from an African tribe of people before Judaism or Abrahamic religions was established, called the Natufians, who brought agriculture to the Middle East 15,000 years ago. And they developed agriculture in Northeast Africa. They were part of the Tyrian culture, but this is before the Kefians or even the Cenarian groups. They evolved in Northeast Africa, and they crossed over into the Middle East, and they were called the Natufians. And they started to deal with agriculture in a Fertile Crescent area. That area was a plush area with, you know, a lot of things. It was a beautiful place. You know, certain parts of North Africa was marshy, so people migrate out. The human genome or the fossils that they find over there, it completely maps out to show the second predominant largest haplogroup in the Middle East outside of J that developed in the Middle East, or what we call the Middle East, or whatever you want to call it, was E3b, which is something that developed in the highlands of Ethiopia. The same marker that's second on the other side, that's our little brother. We are E3a. E3a and E3b both split from EP2. So you do have a large African presence, and we have to also understand that the people of the Sahara that rule Kemet control certain borders of what we call so-called West Asia for damn near 3,000 years. A good book to get is called When Egypt Ruled the East. This is why you find a lot of ancient Egyptian monuments over there. You know what I'm saying? To be honest with you, the people in Kemet have more things in common with those areas and or rule more empires in those areas, or territories in those areas, than they did in the heart of Africa. If we want to look at it as Africa, according to plate tectonics today, they wouldn't call that place Africa. It has its own independent plate tectonic, but due to the Syrian-African rift, what they call a kissing gap or bridge gap, it's still a split in between, but the Syrian-African rift in between Gaza, which is near Palestine, kind of connects them. But you can look at it as Africa as you want to because it was an African territory and African province, or people out of that continent went over there. But according to plate tectonics, it's not. But the people that created monuments and different things is an African species because human beings is an African species. So the thing that I don't agree with certain parts of Kemet, certain people in Kemet in certain time periods, you do have acts of incest. That's one thing that certain people don't acknowledge, but they don't agree with, but it's a fact. What I mean by that is some of the marriages are symbolic, sister and brother, but some of it could have been taken literal. According, like when you look at King Tutankhamun and his mother Kaya, according to the history, Kaya was one of the daughters of Amenhotep III, which is the father of Amenhotep IV, who we know as Akhenaten. Nefertiti wasn't King Tut's mother. Kaya was his mother. And they were half-sister and brothers. And if you look at King Tut, if you ever look at the pictures of him, he walks with a cane, got a spine, he got a curve in his back, different things. It shows that he had certain deformities about him. And even look at his mummy, scoliosis, club palate, a clipped palate in his lip, a club foot. I mean, the dude had disability due to the interbreeding. Plus, his sister or his wife was one of the daughters of Akhenaten, who was by Nefertiti. That was his sister wife through his father. They didn't have the same mother, but through the father. And then you ask the question, why was those big-head, deformed-looking babies in the grave? Because we know in incest, when you share the same genes, it causes diseases, and sometimes life can't continue. And if it do continue, it's a price that you got to pay with it. You know, disability or some form of illiteracy or some form of retardation or whatever you want to call it. It happens. Genes is too close, so it doesn't allow the species to evolve further. And these new genes to reduce certain natural viruses that happens genetically. You know, that's your genetic traits that you carry. So it's not cool. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So from your view, and I know I'm just asking questions until you get into
Hello?
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro. I don't know if y'all can hear me. Go ahead.
No, yeah, definitely not. You going in. I was just asking questions until you get to your say zone. Let me ask you the question. You and I'm trying to word my questions carefully. What do you think about when people say that there's like as far as the debate that I had with the general, that all the resources or homosexuality of Egypt only come from a homosexual interpreter, or using that as a reference of saying that that's the only person that's saying this stuff. Do you believe that to be true or not?
You have numerous people that tried to say it. They tried to say it. According to the text of Faulkner and different people, they tried to say it. It's more than one group. Do we understand the symbolism of ancient Egypt, or could we look at it from a homosexual mind today? The mindset is totally different. We're not those people. We're not those people at all. But as far as what it appears to be like, it's more than one person that says that, or they try to say it. Certain things if you look at it from a Western mind today, it looks tabooish. You get what I'm saying? But if we understand symbolism, if you don't see Egypt from a symbolic eye, you will miss the message. You get what I'm saying? You will miss the message if you don't see Egypt from a symbolic eye. Now, did homosexuality exist at that time? Homosexuality is a human condition. It exists. It always exists. So, but was the country open with it, like certain areas in Greece that was open with homosexuality? The Nordic Europeans wasn't as open as the Southern Mediterranean Europeans with their gayness. You feel me? So what I'm saying is that when you study Egypt, this is a country. So when it comes to if they practice it or if they didn't, homosexuality is a human condition. You can find that shit anywhere. You know what I'm saying? From Highlands of India to China. So was it accessible, or was it something that they allowed to be open? I mean, one of the laws of my art is I have not had sex with the same kind. Set represents disfoulement. So anything that's disagreeable to nature, set represents. So every aspect of reality is just destructive. He had to be an anthropomorphic symbol of it, because set represents drought, lack of, death. And we know that homosexuality doesn't allow life to continue. It allows life to stop. It's not a continuation. It's death. So with that being said, set would represent anything that's a defilement to nature, anything that doesn't allow life to prolong or to continue, the destructive aspect of nature. Child molestation, the whole story with the pyramid text when it talks about when Aset told Haru, don't allow Set to do this because your buttocks is not too strong. I mean, she's trying to avoid Set from molesting her son. So Set represents anything that's perverted. But Haru turned around and ejaculated in the lettuce, and then Set got pregnant, which clearly shows you a man can't get pregnant. It's trying to let you know that the god represents anything that's androgynous. They're androgynous. They can go from male to female at any time. So if you look at that today from a Western mind, a person might say, oh, that's a drag queen. The Egyptians was drag queens. You know what I'm saying? They was able to go backwards and forward, but it's symbolic. So the question is, did certain people do that? I mean, it had to go on for them to say, I have not did it in certain areas. You know what I'm saying? For them to create a law on it. You know what I'm saying? But this is a country. This is a country.
So I agree a lot with what you're saying. So let me ask this. So like you said, Egypt is a country with different norms, right? So when a person stands on the system and say, I stand on the values of Kemet, wouldn't that be kind of an ignorant statement?
I mean, when you say you stand on the values of Kemet, what part of Kemet you dealing with? If you saying if you saying I stand on the values of Mayat, or the principles of Mayat, because that's what it is, that's cool. But if you say I stand on the values of Kemet, what norm? Are you dealing with Theban mythology? Are you dealing with Memphite? What are you dealing with? You know what I'm saying? Are you dealing with a Noonian? I mean, what branch of Kemet are you dealing with? I mean, you got different nomes. This is a country. So, I mean, the whole thing is, what part of Kemet are you dealing with? You have to understand Kemet before you say, oh, well, it's not complex.
No, I agree. And that's where I'm coming from, because when people say they broaden it, like you said, there's different nomes. These people were at war at times. You understand? They were rivals. And that's what most of the people don't see when they romanticize it. They make it this fabulous place that had this unity that was inseparable, and this is not true. So this is one of the things that, I guess me and you talk sometime and we speak about certain things, and a lot of times these people go in about these things, and they're so adamant about something that is not even a practice or never was practiced, So these are some of the things that we were saying,
The ancient Egyptians, first of all, most people in the northern delta, a lot of those people came out of West Asia. A lot of the people in the south came through Nubia and Abyssinia. And a lot of people that went to West Asia, the people that came back from West Asia, were already relatives to the Africans that left out of it, as I stated earlier, called the Natufians. So when it comes to Kemet, we're talking about different people at different times, from the Badarians to the Nakata, even the brothers that you see on the Hunter's Pilot with the Dravidian-looking bows, or, the Hyksos who was part of the Delta. You know what I'm saying? They've been over there for a long time. Yeah, we aware that they came in the 12th dynasty in small numbers, but in the 15th dynasty, you started to fight, and they took over completely by the 15th dynasty until almost kicked them out in the 18th dynasty. But with almost the same people, with almost the same type of African or people that the 12th dynasty was when the Hyksos came in. No, they wasn't, because the 12th dynasty came from the south, but they wasn't from Nubia. A lot of them were from the Putinian or the Abyssinian area. They wasn't even the same type of people. So when you talk about Kemet, so what type of person was Amos? I mean, he was trying to revive a certain Kemetic structure, but these are different types of people at different time periods.
And that's the thing. What people don't understand is when Manetho divided it into dynasties, they never went into dynasties. But what they mean is dynasties is different families are ruling. So every time you see first dynasty, second dynasty, that's a change of family rule. That means the bloodline shifts to a whole nother tribe. And this is what people don't understand. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. I mean, they were all under the same blueprint. But if you study Narmer's Pilot, it's an important thing about Narmer's Pilot. Narmer did not unify Upper and Lower Egypt. Narmer unified the market between West Asia and the continent that we know as Africa, or the Nile Valley in West Asia. You find coins of Narmer in Mesopotamia going back at the time period when they exist, because the Egyptians was all about controlling borders and routes. They got their lapis lazuli from the Oxum River. That's by Pakistan. They got their cedar wood from Lebanon. So the thing is that he only unified the market between what we know as West Asia and Northeast Africa. I'm going to call it the Nile and other parts of the Middle East, or whatever you want to call it. So he was unifying those areas because it was a market.
Why do you think our modern day scholars try to separate the unification that Narmer did between the West Asians and the Northern Africans? Why do you think that people are disconnecting us like we're not one, or we're not connected in some aspect?
I mean, because a lot of scholars don't understand the history of you can't really be a Middle Eastern even to this day without having African blood. I mean, Semitic language is part of the Afro-Asiatic family. Yes, whether it comes from Arabic, Ugaritic, Akkadian, all those languages is classified as Afro-Asiatic. And we know that the oldest branch of Afro-Asiatic comes from Proto-Omatic, 18,000 years ago in the highlands of Ethiopia. You know what I'm saying? The Omo Valley. Then it stretches. Some of it goes into west and become Proto-Chatic. Other groups goes and then mix up with a few Nilo-Saharans. Other group goes towards the north and become Amazic, the Berber languages, or Tamazic. And the other was settled towards the Nile and formulating to Mdu Neter, that we know as Medu Neter. And other groups of it to West Asia and become Semitic, oldest being Akkadian. So when it comes to, there is an African presence in the Middle East for a Middle Eastern to exist. You can't have a Semitic person without having African blood, even if they were mixed. Yes, they were mixed. So, I mean, I'm not denying that. But it was Africans that over there and showed, they gave them a lot of the customs, and they developed things on their own independently. Most people, even in Arabia, got sickle cell trait. And human beings only developed sickle cell to fight off malaria. and equatorial parts of what we know as Africa. So, I mean, that's what it is. So, you know, a lot of our scholars don't study the Middle East 14 to 15,000 years ago or 24,000 years ago, and that's what I'm here for. I'm here to present the African presence that migrated out, that showed the world. From Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, you see the big black man on there, he's surrounded by brown and red people. And then from all the way to, you know what I'm saying, areas in the Levant, you know what I'm saying, and the Tufians who taught agriculture over there. You know what I'm saying? We know that, you know, even Albert Einstein, who was an Ashkenazi-type Jew, this kid had a Y chromosome that went back to Ethiopia. Him and Obama got the same East African Y chromosome, E3B. You can look it up. Albert Einstein and Obama have the same Y chromosome. So it's like, you got to learn to pick your fights, bro. You know what I'm saying? You got to learn to pick your fights.
Definitely. Let me ask you, what's your stance on Hebrew Israelites? And let me know when you get your destination so you can go into your quantum physics and the scriptures.
I think that depends on who the Hebrew Israelite is. If a Hebrew, because the term Hebrew only means to cross over. I mean, I'm going to get out this car, step out, I'm crossing over. Israelite only means one who struggles with God. So it depends on what's the Hebrew Israelite's agenda. I can classify myself as Israelite because I am one who struggles with my higher self. You get what I'm saying? Israelite only means one who struggles with God. Hebrew means one who crosses over. A Hebrew can be anybody. My good brother Garfield brought up the little temple of Jerusalem, and he said you could be anybody and you was classified as Yehuda at a certain area. So I think that what's important, it depends on who the Hebrew is. When you got Hebrew Israelites or people that call themselves Hebrew Israelites and that say, oh, F Africa, F Ham, and F this and F that, that's kind of bogus. You screaming and you don't even understand what's going on. I mean, because all spirituality, regardless of what we call it, Africans left out, and when we developed, we were spiritual. Homo Began is buried as dead, which showed he had a belief. And these are what we refer to as, if you want to call them proto-Adams or archaic humans, whatever you want to call them. They buried their dead, which showed they had a belief. And then you had human beings who left out of the continent who practiced an animistic system. Animism, you know, believe that everything in nature has energy or spirit. And it's true, because if you go in the core of a rock, you find protons, neutrons, and electrons, which is activity. The term energy means to work. So everything in nature does have a spirit. So the thing is that regardless of whatever your belief is, spirituality is something that came from the African species, or what we know as Homo sapiens sapiens, human beings. Spirituality is something, so if it stops in the Middle East and it mutates into some other thing, and it goes into West Africa and becomes Yoruba. It goes into Ghana and become Akan. It goes into certain parts and become Palo. Khoisan develop their little ways of dealing with it. They all have a knowledge of the underlying principle of nature that we really don't understand. And there's always going to be a question mark to existence at the core of it all. I mean, even when you get into the Kabbalah, Keter is the crown. Keter is only symbolic to photonic lights, or the sephiroth that we see, which is spirit of light at the core of it. But at the core, when you get into Insif, that's vacuum energy. That's something that we don't understand. Or if you get into Nun, that's formlessness. It's the same thing. If you look at the Ennead and you look at Nun, Nun means formlessness. Let's look at the Ennead of ancient Egypt. It says Dua Nunet, Kur Kuket, Hu Huhet, Amun and Amunet. Nun and Nunet is formlessness. Kur Kuket is darkness. Hu Huhet is boundlessness. What's the only element or super subatomic particle that's boundless? We know to a photon is boundless because it's not bound by mass, because what? It's not bound by mass, so it's not bound by time. That's boundlessness. You get what I'm saying? Photonic activity.
And that's the Yod Hey Wav Hey. With Yod Hey Wav Hey means it was, it shall be, and it is. It's infinite. You know, and that's when you get into Elohim. Elohim is translated later to the Greeks as elector and comes into the English language as electricity, meaning that it's infinite energy. And even with the boundlessness that you speak, you see that same thing in Genesis, right?
Yeah, you find similarities. Yes, correct. Because the thing is that Yahweh that you speak of is the same thing that comes in the being in ancient Egypt. The photon that comes in the being, or the first spear of light that comes in the being, when the universe, before everything, I'm talking about in the process, before the expansion or whatever you want to call it, or the opening or the mouth ceremony, or the Big Bang, or Patah, which means to split or to open, or whatever you want to call it, or Ein Sif, which became Keter, or whatever you want to call it. That was Keperah. Keperah, which means the evolve, or that which comes in the being. This is the first spectrum of light, the first spear of light. Remember, Light exists before the sun even exists, before those gas clouds or before those hydrogen and helium or all those other things emitted. Photons exist. Then we got to get into those super.
So when people say Ra, when they say Ra, and Ra is the sun, wouldn't that be false?
Yeah, yes, that's false because Ra is the progenitor. Ra is thermonuclear fusion. Ra is activity. Ra is the energy that permeates through all stars and all galaxies. The sun is just one of his greatest representations that we see because the sun is the highest force of power that we can bear witness to in the stage of matter. 4 stages of matter: solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. The 4 forces of matter is what? Electromagnetic, weak nuclear force, strong nuclear force, and gravitational. So with that being said, the sun is one of the highest stages of matter that we bear witness to, but that's not Ra. Because you got to think about it. It's the difference between Ra and Aten. Aten means the sun disk or the shiner or the high noon. This is the boldness of the sun. Ra, look at his depictions. You see a mouth. You see a sun, which represents power. You also see a man, or you also see a water, which is a wave. They look like a wiggly symbol. Look at the Ra symbol. So what does Ra mean? Ra also means Shechem-er in Medu-Neter. Shechem-er means eldest strength or great power. Shechem means strength or power. Means eldest or great. You get what I'm saying? So you're talking about great strength or great power. So God, or whatever you want to call it, this thing that we call God, God is your inner strength. It's your power. We call on it. The term God is Indo-European. It means to call on or to invoke. So what do we call on when we're in desperate need? We depend on strength. We depend on power. We depend on things that uplift us, that makes us feel a certain way. The same thing that you get with Ra, the progenitor, the upper force. You get what I'm saying? So Keppara and Yahweh or Yahweh is similar, principality speaking. All the way, like for example, let's get into India. You got Keppara, Harakati, and Tamu. Keppara being the symbol of it is the rising sun. Harakati is the remaining sun or the sun at noon. And then you have the ending part of the sun, which is the tomb, because the tomb means to total or to end. The same thing you get in India when you get into Brahman, the creator, Vishnu, the sustainer, and Shiva, the destroyer. That's Keppara, Harakati, and Tamu. Principality is the same. The similarity is still there.
Okay. So, one of the things me and you was talking about a while ago, you was basically speaking to me about the Hebraic advantage and how they had an advantage because they were traveling and they seen the rise and fall of each empire. Can you explain that?
Well, the thing is, with the people that we know is Hebrews, or whatever you want to call them, these people, this mixed multitude of people, the reason why they stood out is because they seen economies collapse and be rebuilt. You get what I'm saying? When you see economies collapse, hold on one second, God. Hold on one second.
Oh.
What I'm saying is that these people, hello?
Yes, sir.
These people bear witness to systems be rebuilt and watch things fall in the economy. You got to think about it. These people were into it with the Egyptian government because the Commissions ruled the Middle East at one time. They got into it with the Assyrians. All the Hebrews really want to do is preserve their cattle. They were farmers. They went from hill to hill. They wasn't a violent people. They really wasn't. They just wanted to preserve their cattle or their sheep, and they wanted to go from one area to the next. They wasn't a violent people. The Assyrians tried to beat up on them. The Egyptians tried to, do certain things or whatever. They had a complaint against the government. Some people call them, according to the minor letters, some people believe that the Hebrews were the Aparu, which were like a Vandal, radiant type people that were raiding villages or whatever they was doing. Either way, they bear witness to economies. They wasn't a people of power like that. They were just a group of people who were like against, if you want to call it oppression or rebellions against the government that ruled. So they complained about the Assyrians, they complained about the Egyptians, they complained about anybody that they felt that wasn't right. Whatever they had going on, they wasn't like that. So the thing is that they bear witness to things come and go, fall and go, and this is why when you study the literature, people can relate to it so much. They're like, damn, it's talking about the apocalypse, or it's talking about this. Why were they able to do that? Because they seen cycles of economies fall and be rebuilt, and they stood around. Even the Ashkenazi Jews today that claims to be the original Jews or whatever. This is why they still writing the scripts today. This is why they control Hollywood. This is why they're one of the richest nations, because they know how to run markets. They always know how to run markets. Most of your rumor sales, the thrift stores, is ran by Jews. The trading for gold stuff, that shit is ran by Jews. When you turn stuff in to get gold, or you give money to get gold, all that stuff is ran by Jews. Hollywood is ran by Jews. The best lawyers to get you out of jail or to get you out of the jam is Jewish. You get what I'm saying? Whatever. You know, so they know the in and out of markets, and that's what Hitler had a problem with against these people, because he said they were like all they do is absorb in population and just take things. He didn't like the way they operated. You know what I'm saying? Even though it was some Jews that helped sponsor him to kill other Jews, but you get what I'm saying? It's just the market.
So so can we learn anything from these patterns? Is there anything that we can learn? And do you feel that the Bible is effective in any way, salvation of our people?
I think that if it helps benefit a person, it makes them progress in life. It could be beneficial. For some people, they say it's a book for slaves. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Or it was given to them by slaves or whatever. I mean, it was given to them about the slave master, and you was a slave and you just took it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But what people got to understand, we talked about this yesterday on the show. Everybody is not built to be a leader. Some people need certain things as a crutch to get them, up, regardless of however we use it. Some people run a cocaine. Some people run a heroin. Some people run alcohol. Some people run. If you can read the Bible and it stops you from damaging your organs, and it keeps you taking care of your family as a man or a woman, and it keeps you loving your family as a man or a woman, even though some people might say, well, it's all in the mind. It could be. But if you got to use this thing to fool yourself to make yourself a better person, what's the problem? You can find people doing it with Hinduism. You can find people doing it with Buddhism. You can even find atheists do it when atheists go out their way to talk about what they talk about. Or scientists. Scientists go in a corner when they try to figure out something, and what help them, and they write down different mathematical equations to figure out how a new star is born. You get what I'm saying? According to astrophysics. When you're dealing with astrophysics, they're trying to understand the science of stellar evolution, how stars are being born, how stars are collapsing. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. So as an intro into what you're going in, you gave me a book a while back, The Science of God, and it correlated with a science of the universe and biblical scripts. And I know you're a master of Kabbalic studies. Give the people out there something to go home, that those that Hebrew Israelites that want to hear and that are into science and the quantum scriptures and stuff like that. Give them something that they can hear and they can take home and be happy about and excited about, and learn something from our brother Ngoi, who is not a person who's a person that's just about truth and about bringing good information and uplifting to any group of people. So can you give them something along that matter?
When it comes to dealing with any book that you choose to deal with, quantum physics can match up with everything. You know what I'm saying? We talked about quantum physics. Remember, we talked about the question mark to existence that's at the core of everything. I know it as consciousness, or people call it God, to the generator, operator, design, or whatever you want to call it. The super subatomic particles are not it. Energy from primordial to mass is its word. The subatomic particles, or the quantum particles, is its alphabets, because the particles are the building blocks of matter, and nature is its law. And once we understand that, that's just what it is. From primordial energy to mass energy, things that we see in the sense of matter. Remember, the material world only makes up 1%. We don't even understand the rest of the universe. The material part of the universe that scientists are only able to see only makes up 1%. It's a large globulation of the universe that they can't measure. We can only measure the things that we can see. Neil deGrasse Tyson admitted that we don't know if the universe is expanding or not. It just appears like that. So we come up with mathematical equations based off what it appears as. It appears as if it's expanding. But you got different scientific articles that's trying to give you an explanation of how the universe has functioning and how it's not functioning. Not saying that remember, these are not just regular theories. These are scientific theories. It has been tested. They measured it, they tested, and they're giving you something based off what it appears to be off observation. It's the same thing when people argue about macroevolution and microevolution. Most scientists will agree. All scientists agree in biology with microevolution, but all scientists in biology don't agree with macroevolution, because you can't see ape become a human or certain species become certain species today. So they disagree with it, even though you have fossils that they find that have a lot of similarity with certain species that show there was a common gap in between. So they leave that gap open. So you have biologists who are believers who say that that's God. It's the gap theory, or God in the gap theory. And you got some who say, well, this is the explanation because we found this fossil here. So the bottom line with that is to each his own.
because I'm a strong advocate in evolution. I believe that, me personally, I believe that I am a primate, I know that, and I am part of the great ape family, and I am a human being. Human beings don't come from monkeys. That's the thing we got to understand. Australopithecus wasn't a monkey. Sahelanthropus wasn't a monkey. None of these Australopithecus to the hominid branch of the Homo genius family, none of these things was monkeys. Even though somewhere down the line it was a common ancestor, that split. But our species itself, not a monkey at all. So my thing is, that's just me. But some people don't like that. They just like to deal with the human form. That's fine. But when it comes to microevolution, we can bear witness to germs and organisms and bacteria change. You can see it. You get what I'm saying? At the micro level. But if you have a large acceleration of change at the micro level, remember, genome starts inside, phenome starts outside. So if you got a large mutation starting at the micro level, eventually the defect, let's think about the 111 amino acid that's depleted or goes through a mutation. What happens to the dermises? What happens to the skin or how melanin works through the dermises? Epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis. Then in between you have 5 major stratums. What happens in between when the skin change? Well, you develop SLC2485 or SLC4582 when the 111 amino acid is depleted. It's a mutation going there. What's going on? It's a depletion. So what happens? What's going on inside will show outside. We see the people with white skin. They're mutants. You know what I'm saying? They're mutants. But so that's a different story. Things large become small. Things small becomes large, and then things eventually goes back from large. It can go back to small, but that's something totally different. When it's things, everything returns back. But what I'm trying to say is that consciousness, or this thing that when you read the scriptures, or however you want to deal with it, if you get into the Kabbalah, the Book of Zohar, the Book of Radiance, or which is a good book, the Book of Zohar is a good book. It breaks it all down esoterically, and then you can match it up with physics, the functioning behavior of the super subatomic particles, from the quarks to the boson that we know as the Higgs boson particle or the God particle, to tachyons, the gluons, the muons, to the functioning behavior of all these super subatomic particles, which makes up the subatomic particles. Subatomic being proton, neutron, and electron. Protons are made of what? 2 up quarks and 1 down quark. Neutrons are made of 2 down quarks and 1 up quark. A neutron is slightly heavier than a proton, and in between you have that fission or the currency, which forms into that you have the electron, and then in between this the photon that's influencing all that, because the photon carries what? Pockets of light and energy, or the electron is following behind it. So what we're dealing with is we can bear witness to this, from the super subatomic to the subatomic to the atomic to the molecular, and from the molecular to DNA and RNA and then cell and everything that you see. The whole process is there. And then you should read the book of Genesis. It talks about different stages of evolution. They give you like 7 days, but 7 days is really symbolic. If you take that literal, I mean, you did something wrong. But it tells you in the beginning, it was, you had the water, you had this, you had that. But it goes through the stages all the way until it gets into man. Because in one scripture, it talks about how, if you want to call it Yahweh or God created man and woman, and then another scripture saying, then he created Adam and Eve. And then if you're dealing with it from esoteric level, you can say, well, proto-Adam, which was archaic humans, and then the direct Adam that we see now in a new form is a modern human, Homo sapiens sapien, or anatomically correct humans. This is the new stage of man. And all men today can link back to one man or a group of men, the M168 marker that we know is haplogroup CT. So, I mean, stories are exaggerated, but the stories sometimes are only exaggerated to get the point across, to get you to understand. Good principles in it all.
Okay, that sounds excellent, brother. I mean, you got some information for the family, man. I really appreciate you, man. I really appreciate you, and I thank you for all the information, bro. I hope you was able to share stuff that you wanted to share, and not basically just answer questions, but really give the world who you are, man, and how you basically help teach, man. I like the information. The people are going to eat this up, and they're going to love the information that you have, and I thank you for even giving me a time to just even interview you, brother, and I appreciate that.
Oh, that's peace and love, brother. I'm here, man, and I came on the show, and if brothers got questions in the future, man, they can ask. You know what I'm saying? I think that theology is one thing, and for some people, it is what it is. Everybody got a right to do what they do as long as it's not harming another person. Just everybody should just stay in their place. People choose to pick their fights. So it is what it is.
Definitely. All right, man. No, go ahead.
I'm saying at the end of the day, it's two things that's destined with us as a species, or us, this organism that we call human being: birth and death. In between is up to you.
Okay.
Well, we all gonna run out of ATP, adenosine triphosphate, before we go through rigor mortis. We all gonna die. So what's important is what you do in between existence. What you're doing in between existence is the most important thing. So I mean, if you're doing things that helps the community, that benefits the community, taking care of your family, trying to, teach good moral ethics and good values to the family, that's what's really important, because our people are dying, and we really don't have any time to waste. What's important is doing things that's beneficial for the community. I applaud the black church who tried to feed the homeless and does for the community. I applaud the Muslims who do it. I applaud the atheists if they got programs that do it. I applaud all these people that's trying to help the community. Humanity, we have to get it together. I mean, I'm not talking about other groups of people, because white people got the programs for themselves. I'm talking about black people, this strand of humanity, or whatever you want to call us. We have to get it together to keep our gene, or us, this particular strand of man, surviving. You feel me? We got a network. And what's important is, it don't matter if you're a Hebrew, a Jew, a Muslim, a Christian, an atheist, a Buddhist, a Hindu. What's important is being black first. You black before you anything. You put all the other. Marcus Garvey was a Christian, and we all love him. RBG wouldn't exist without Marcus Garvey. He was a matter of fact, he was a Roman Catholic. He was a Catholic.
Definitely.
Malcolm X. This brother's one of the most powerful speakers that I ever bear witness to. He was a Muslim. We're not going to deny him. Khalid Muhammad, a Muslim.
Definitely.
I
agree with you on that. Definitely.
That's what I'm saying. So I mean, what's important is being, who you are first, and knowing who the hell your enemy is. The enemy is breaking up homes right now. He's offering us, artificial bullshit, man. It really distracts you, man, from who you are. I mean, this thing that we call a pep, or the devil, or ini lili, as they say in Europe.
It goes. Shalom. All right, sorry, brothers and sisters. I think my brother's call dropped. We'll wait a couple seconds, see if he called back in. If not, we'll close out the show. I hope you got some information from our dear brother Ngoi. I have one more question for him, but definitely I think it's call dropped. Demo, are you there? All right, hold on 1 second. Yeah, family, trying to see if I can get to the brother or get the demo. And I feel that we're going to close out this show. My brother definitely gave some powerful information. Now, when we watch the debates and we listen to the arguments of the debates, the one brother, it's good because what he feels truth is, he's going to say it regardless. And that's not biasness. A lot of us come in with a biased mind, and sometimes we don't evaluate or look into the research in ourselves and see that there is information on both sides. So even if it seems like he may have spoke against some beliefs of his counterparts, it's just that he speaks the truth, even though he spoke against some stuff about our thoughts and our beliefs. Or he, in himself, he's just focusing on the truth, on what he believes the truth to be. So this is real powerful because with all the information that's out there, there's many people that's trying to mislead us and they're trying to cause us to go in a direction that we don't need to go. So I want us to just take our time out and listen to what the brother said and see if it matches up with what the Hebrews were saying. See if it matches up with what the Amaran squad, which he is, Polite is saying. I really thank you. our brothers and sisters for this beautiful time to discuss things. I'm trying to reach my brother Demo so he can close out the show. The brother's at work, so let me give him a call 1 second. Yeah. Well, I can't reach my brother, so I'm just going to basically hold until I can get the brother in line to close out the show. And like I said, I think all of you, brothers and sisters, we're not going to do any questions tonight. I wish we had time to do it. But maybe we can do a part 2 to this. And we get people to see. We didn't want to put a blast out and have everybody on the line tonight because we didn't want any distractions. We didn't want people calling in, arguing and fighting and all that stuff. We just wanted to bring forth true information and